everyone. This is Sandy from Community Business. Welcome to our introductory webinar to our Open to You Inclusive Recruitment event program. Now, hand over to our Managing Director, Vernon, to give us kind of an introduction to the program and also to our organization, Community Business.
Thank you, Sandy, and hello to everybody on the call. It's good to see lots of names in the right-hand side. So, as Sandy mentioned, if you look to the right, if you're looking at the WebEx system, if you look to the right-hand side, there's a heading that says Participants, and there you can see the names of some of the people who have joined the call. And as Sandy mentioned, just to help us with background noise, if you look at your name, you should be able to see a microphone icon with a line through it. So if you click that, that will just mean that we don't hear any of your background noise, and that will just be helpful for us. So welcome to this call. We're very, very excited to be running this Open to You Inclusive Recruitment event. It's the first time that we have done this, so we want to take the time to tell you a little bit about it. Sandy, for some reason, the slide is not progressing, so let me just try that. Okay. Fantastic. So I'm just going to take a few minutes to give you a little bit of a background to this event, and then Sandy will really take you through some of the details. So to tell you a little bit about Community Business, we are a non-profit organization. We're based in Hong Kong, and we work with companies in this area of corporate social responsibility. So this may be a new term for some of you, but really what we're trying to do is to lead, inspire, and support businesses to improve their positive impact on people and communities. And we do this in a number of ways and in a number of areas. So in those four boxes, the four orange boxes, those are the key areas of our work. So we work with companies on helping them define their CSR strategy. We help them look at programs that they can support in the community. So that might be getting their employees involved in employee volunteering, supporting projects, and recognizing that the community in which they operate is very important to the success of their business. The third area is diversity and inclusion. And this is an area where employers are recognizing that they not only have a responsibility to ensure that their workplaces represent a diversity of people and have very inclusive work environments, that they have a responsibility to do that, but actually it's very good for their business. So they're doing it from a business perspective, that they're going to be more successful, they're going to tap into more innovation and get better competitive advantage. And that area of diversity and inclusion is really the area of work that I head up with the team at Community Business. And we do a lot of work in this area, from research and events and campaigns and providing advice and training to companies. And then the fourth area is work-life balance. So that's a little bit about who we are and why we're interested in this subject. We have been focusing on disability for a number of years. And really, when we're talking about disability, we're looking at how we can lead, inspire, and support companies to think about how they can remove barriers to inclusion for people with disabilities. And that's both in terms of thinking about employees, and that might be existing employees, or it might be taking on new employees. So how can they attract and retain and develop candidates with disabilities? But it's also from a customer perspective. And more companies are recognizing that, their customer base is very diverse, and they need to understand that customer base better and think about how they deliver their products and services in a way that's accessible to everybody. So this is kind of the high-level mission around what we're doing in this space. We have produced a number of publications designed to really help companies move forward, and we call these resource guides, and we produced 2 or 3 of these, and these are available to companies free of charge, and we do the research and we put them together. In the recent year to 18 months, we've been focusing particularly on recruitment of disabled talent. So we believe that companies have a great opportunity and they're looking to find the best people for their organizations to reach out to disabled talent. And that's really what this webinar and this event Open to You is all about. It's about introducing from the employer side, employers to great talent that they might want to bring on to their organizations. And so that's why we're launching this event on the 25th of March. So the purpose of this webinar in particular is it's really to give you the opportunity to find out a little bit more about this event. We hope that you'll be very interested in it, and we want to explain to you the application process and make sure that you feel comfortable with that process and that you know how to go about it. And then we want to just give you a little bit of advice about what to think about as you prepare for coming along to the event on the 25th of March. And we're delighted to be joined by a guest speaker who's got a lot of experience of working with people with disabilities or special needs, and she's going to be giving you some specific advice about what you might want to think about. So in terms of the agenda, this call is scheduled to run until 5 o'clock. And as I said, I will tell you a little bit more about the event, and then Sandy will tell you in detail about the application process. And then we have our guest speaker, Faride Shroff, who will talk about what you might want to think about before you meet employers. And then we've just got a couple of more pointers of what you might want to think about to get the most out of the event. And we hope we have saved enough time at the end to give you the opportunity to ask a question. If you don't feel comfortable asking a question out loud at the end, you can use the chat function. You can type a question at any time to Sandy. So just to note, if you do want to send a message, you should make sure that you select the Send to CB Administrator, and that will ensure that the message just goes to Sandy. Okay. So moving on, and to talk about this event in particular. So we know that as we talk to students, as we've engaged with some of the people at universities, that there are some concerns that you may have about applying for a job with a multinational or with the corporate sector. And we've captured some of these on these quotes on this slide 8. So I'll read a couple of them. The corporate sector is too competitive, too high pressure. The working hours are too long and inflexible. I don't think a job in the corporate sector is for me. You might be thinking, I don't know which companies to approach or what kinds of support they can provide to people with my condition. Or you might think, because often the companies that we hear are most interested and participating in these kind of events tend to be in the financial services sector, and you might be thinking, I'm not interested in banking, and these seem to be the only types of roles that are available. Or you might have already been beginning to think about applying for a job but not had a very good experience. So I've sent out lots of CVs, but because I mentioned my disability in my cover letter, it seems no one is interested. So these are various challenges that we recognize that you may be facing, and really this Open to You event is about dispelling some of those myths or those perceptions and helping you to see what opportunities there might be, and that there are actually companies that are looking to recruit people like you. So moving on to slide 9, the Open to You event. This is a half-day program, and it's designed specifically to build your confidence and introduce you directly to employers who recognize the benefits of diversity and are committed to making their workplaces more inclusive. We're really delighted that Standard Chartered is the lead sponsor for this. So you'll see there's a lot of branding and promotion for Standard Chartered because they've provided some core funding to help make this event possible, and they're also being the venue host for this. So slide 10, just talking a little bit more about the specific objectives, and we've included on this slide both the objectives from your perspective, but also for the companies that are participating, because you may be interested to know why they want to be involved. So from your side, we see this event as an opportunity to really build your aspirations and help you realize that a career in the corporate sector is an achievable goal. We also want to build your confidence and give you some practical advice on how to go through the application process, how you might prepare for an interview, and also how you might communicate about your disability. Again, we know this can be a concern for people. At what point do you bring this up? How do you talk about it in a way that makes people feel comfortable? And then, of course, the third point, to give you the opportunity to meet with leading employers who are committed to taking on people with disabilities, and to learn more about specifically some of the opportunities that they have on offer. So that's what we hope the event will achieve from your perspective. For the companies, they are obviously looking for the best people to bring onto their organizations, and they want to raise their profile to people like you, and they want you to consider their company as you go and begin your careers. So for them, this is a good way to be introduced to people directly and to demonstrate that they are committed to being an inclusive employer. They also are looking for a platform to showcase the opportunities that they have available. And this third bullet, they also are looking to increase their confidence around this subject. So what may be interesting for you to know is that a lot of these companies are interested, but they actually don't know how to go about it, and they're nervous about, what kind of support they should be providing. They're nervous about what kind of conversations to have with prospects. And so by being involved in an event like this, they learn through being part of the process. So I think it's quite interesting for you to recognise that there's hesitation on both sides, and this is a big learning program for everybody. And of course, for them, there's the opportunity to be introduced directly to people like you. So those are the objectives. In terms of who we hope will come to this event, we are hoping that we will reach 30 to 40 university-level students. So we have, I'm not sure how many people we have on the call, maybe 10 to 12, and we're being very active in marketing this as broadly as we can. And we hope through the process we will identify 30 to 40 students to attend the event on the 25th of March. And this is the way that we have been promoting it on our website. You may have seen this in our emails, and you may have seen some of our posters. So we're really trying to get the point that we're looking for smart, determined, resourceful people who are considering a career in the corporate sector, but you might just have some questions, or you might want to know, what opportunities are available and what support can be provided to you. But to get the message across that companies are interested and that they want to meet you and talk to you. We are delighted and honoured to be working with all of the key universities in Hong Kong. So Sandy's been very busy meeting and talking to all of the universities that are featured on this slide, and I suspect you're from these universities. So they know about the program, they're supportive of the program, and you should be able to talk to someone if you want to find out more about this. Let me take a little bit of time to take you through the program that we have planned for the 25th of March. It's a Monday, it's an afternoon, and it actually begins from 1 o'clock and runs through to 6:30. And we will begin with giving you the opportunity to actually just come along and meet with the companies that are taking part in the event. So they will be there, they will have a pop-up banner, they will have someone who's ready to talk to you and answer any questions that you might have, or just tell you a little bit about their company. We will then begin the formal program at 2 o'clock, so you will be seated at round tables, and there'll be a mixture of students with some corporate representatives. And we'll have a welcome and introduction first from Community Business and from Standard Chartered Bank. And then we've invited someone who we hope will give you a little bit of inspiration. His name is Ajmal Samuel. He actually will share his personal story about how he went from being a job seeker to a CEO of his own company, and his experience of looking for jobs and what he found to help him be successful, and the advice that he would share with you. We are then going to have a panel discussion, which will be people from the companies that are taking part, who will share with you some of the opportunities that are available within their companies. And we've asked them to really focus on the range of opportunities so that you have a better understanding that there's a broad range of roles that might be available. So I made this point earlier, but if you want to work for Standard Chartered Bank, you don't have to be interested in banking. You might be interested in HR or marketing or other parts of the business. So just kind of helping you understand the different opportunities that might be available within a company. And then the second part of that panel discussion will be inviting them to give you advice about how you can position yourself for success. So as you look to reach out to companies, talk to companies, and prepare your CV and prepare yourself for interviews, what is some advice that they can give you? We will then take a break, and we've allowed half an hour for a break so that you can have time to mingle with people and talk to some of the companies that are there. And then we will have a session particularly designed to talk to you about how you communicate about your disability in a way that makes everybody feel comfortable. And it will actually be Faridi, who's joining us on this call today, who will be leading that session. So, and that will also be interesting for the corporate people who are in the room. And then towards the end of the session, we have a very special session which we call Faces. And this is a session that we have developed at Community Business. And what we do is we invite a couple of disabled graduates to share their personal stories about their experience of finding a job in Hong Kong. But we will structure it as a little bit of a challenge. They will share with you some of the challenges they had faced. And then you will have the opportunity to work with people on your table, to interact with the people on your table and think, if you face that kind of problem, how might you be able to address it? How might you overcome the challenge? So it's designed to give you the opportunity to think about creatively about how you might solve a problem. And then what we will do at the end is we will invite the individual face to share their approach and how they were able to be successful. So this is an opportunity for you to learn from the experiences of other people and get some advice. We will then wrap up the program at 5:45, but then we'll move into informal networking. So the formal program will finish and you'll be able to mingle. And we're inviting the companies to encourage some of their current employees, so people already working in their organizations who might have a disability, to come along and interact with you and share their experiences. And then we would aim to finish at 6:30. So it's a very rich afternoon. I think it will be a fantastic opportunity for learning on all sides. I think a point I would like to highlight here is that it's not so much about placing you with a particular job with a particular company. It's much more about education and awareness and facilitating conversation so that you feel more comfortable about moving forward and approaching companies afterwards. Okay, and we can talk a little bit more about that later. I'm sure you're interested to know which companies involved. So these are the companies that are involved that we know about today. We hope there may be a couple more. So as I mentioned, we have Standard Chartered, who's really leading this and have been a fantastic partner and are really committed to this program. Sponsoring companies are companies that are providing funding to help make this happen at a higher level. And we have Barclays, who I'm sure you know are an international bank. We have Bloomberg, who are a media company and a broadcaster, news broadcaster. And we have Goldman Sachs, again, an investment bank. But in terms of other companies that are involved, we have the British Council, an educational and cultural institution, which I'm sure you've come across, CLP, JP Morgan, and Town Gas. So those are the companies. I hope they will be familiar names. They are all large companies, all have lots of opportunities that are available. So in summary, and I'm going to hand over to Sandy in a moment, if you are looking for an interesting career in the corporate sector, if you're uncertain about the recruitment process, if you're wanting to find out what opportunities might be available, and you're interested to meet informally with inclusive employers, and curious to find out about the experience of others, and you're determined to be successful, we really encourage you to apply to join this program. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Sandy, who's going to tell you a little bit more about the application process, and we will have time at the end for questions.